Just a second. धातु ब्रह्मैव संप्रोक्तो जीव आख्यातमुच्यते प्रकृतिकृत्सुबन्तादिर् धातु ब्रह्मात्मने नमः नारायणः परो व्यक्तादण्डम् अव्यक्तसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी. Okay, so those who have forgotten, for them, Gita first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna is confused under the pressure of grief, shoka and moha. He is deluded, and Krishna insults him, trying to knock him off of this sorrow. And when that does not work, he starts teaching him the Atma Tattva, because he wants to finally tell Arjuna that the grief that you think that you can never come out of. In fact, Arjuna concludes by saying that I don't know what will bring me out of this grief, whether here or hereafter. Even Swarga cannot give me that kind of sukha which will bring me out of this grief, because for a Kshatriya of the order of Arjuna, his Gandiva, his Dhanushya is falling off his hands. That kind of grief and shoka and moha is under the influence of. Therefore, Bhagavan starts teaching him Atma Tattva to help him understand that you are not killing the Atma and you have no reason to have sorrow. This is how it starts. And the last couple of shlokas that we saw is Vasansi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navani Grannati Naroparani Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jirnanyanyani Sanyati Navani Dehi. So just like he gives an example, just like the old clothes which are worn off are given up, and having given up those, one takes up new clothes. Similar is Deha, it is like clothing that for the Atma, it takes new Sharira because the old ones have worn out. And you see these people have, either they have worn out Shariras who are going to die anyway, even if you don't fight the battle they are going to die, or they are worn out by adharma, they are worn out, thereby they don't have any right to live, their prarabdha is getting over. So even if you don't kill them, they are going to die any which way. This is the idea behind this teaching. And then he says, Kasmat, Bhashyakara says, Kasmat avikriya eva iti aha. This Atma is avikriya, does not undergo any change. While the Sharira undergoes change, all the Shadvikaras are for the Sharira. For Atma there are no Vikaras. And why it is so? Because last shloka we saw was Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Nachainam Kledayantyaapo, Na Shoshayati Marutaha. Here we saw the Shastra. Here one reason the Shastra is mentioned as Enam Atmanam Shastrani Na Chindanti. They don't cut. The weapons do not cut, because Prasangatha Praptaha. In the context of war or battle, weapons are being used, therefore weapons are mentioned, and this is the weapons are the modifications of earth or Prithvi Tattva, of the Prithvi Mahabhuta. So this is an example of that. Prithvi also cannot cut. Prithvi or Chindanti, it cannot cut or it cannot harm this Atma, it cannot affect this Atma any which way. Therefore avikriya, tasmad avikriyaha pavakaha enam atmanam na dahati. Even Agni cannot burn this Atma. Therefore avikriyaha. And nache enam kledayanti apaha. The apaha, water also does not. Apaha here is plural because it is nitya bahuvachana. Apaha, the shabda itself is in Sanskrit nitya bahuvachana, but in English we don't say waters, we'll say water. And water also does not wet this Atma. Wet as in, see, the idea is that it does not affect, and the idea from Arjuna's perspective is what? It is going to hurt. It is going to any of these, they can affect the Atma in the sense that he is going to kill them or hurt them. That is the idea that he has. But Bhagavan is saying that Atma cannot be affected in any which way by any of the things which can affect anything else. They cannot affect Atma. So whether it is Apaha or Apa Vikaraha, whether it is Pavaka or Pavaka Agni Vikaraha, and whether it is air also, Marutha, and space we saw is included anyway. Nobody thinks that space can affect or harm anyone else, thereby space is not included. That way also we can consider. And here what it means, that Marutaha na shoshayati, other things can be dried by air, and drying means what? Drying can cause harm. If something can dry, for example, you have stuck some pages together in a book, or in binding the pages are stuck together. What happens when it dries? The gum breaks, and when the gum breaks, the pages come apart. Similarly, if Atma is put together like the Sharira, then Atma can also be dried, or something similar may happen and it may break the bond. Thereby the parts of the Atma can come apart. This kind of thinking if someone has, it is erroneous, because Atma is partless. That's one way to know that it cannot be, it cannot undergo any changes. It cannot be affected. And similarly with water also, with flooding it can harm. Similarly, Atma can be harmed by water. If that idea is there, that also can be dropped, because it is not possible, says Bhagavan. This is where we were last time. Further in continuation, he says, this 23rd shloka, how it connects to the 24th, the Sangati Bhashya by Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Yataha evam tasmat. Yatha is Panchamyarthe tasil. Yasmat, tasmat. So since this is so, evam, yasmat, evam, yataha evam is equal to yasmat evam. Since this is so, since what is so? Since the Prakrita Atma, the Atma which is being discussed in the context, that is so. So means what? Avikriyaha. Avikriyaha due to these reasons, due to the reasons given in the 23rd shloka. Therefore, tasmat, the 24th shloka says, hetu hetumat bhava is shown. Since none of these Panchamahabhutas can affect the Atma, therefore each of these effects are negated, and the 24th shloka says, achedyoyam adayoyam akledyo shoshevacha nityas sarvagatasthanu rachaloyam sanatanaha. Achedya. So achedya. Ayam Atma, ayam is this Atma, is what? Achedya. Na chindanti, therefore achedya, it cannot be cut. Adayya, ayam Atma, adayya, you can say bhavati at each place. Akledya why? Apaha na kledayanti. Ayam enam atmanam apaha na kledayanti tasmad akledya. So it is giving a corollary of that. Since none of these Panchamahabhutas can have an effect on Atma in their respective ways, therefore this Atma, from the perspective of Atma, if you have to talk about, then you can say achedyaha, adayyaha, akledyaha and ashoshyaha. These are the four effects mentioned. Therefore these four are talked about here. Evacha. And what? Nityaha sarvagataha sthanuhu achalaha ayam sanatanaha. So achedya is clear. Ayam atma achedya bhavati. All these are in ekvachana, prathama ekvachana, prathama vibhakti. Ayam atma, all these are prathama ekvachana. So bhavati evacha, and indeed it is, this Atma is all of this which is mentioned here. Now nityaha, all this, after all the effects are negated, then what happens is, what is the conclusion? Nityaha, this Atma is nitya. It has been said to be avikriya, kasmat, that karana has been given, and since these karanas are given, therefore the conclusion is this: achedyaha atma, achedyaha adayya, akledya ashoshya, from the perspective of Atma. Now since Atma cannot undergo any changes and Atma is off this nature. Therefore, what is the conclusion? This Atma is Nityah. Avikriyaha, therefore Nityah. And since it is Nitya, Nitya means that it is ever existent. If it is ever existent, what is ever existent? There should be no limitations of time. Nitya says that there is no limitation of time. But we have seen earlier, I have mentioned perhaps in passing, that Nitya, although it has a connotation of time, still it is not affected by any of these. It has been mentioned here that it is not affected by any of these, and space also, it is beyond space also. Therefore, space also cannot limit it. Time wise, it cannot be limited. Atma cannot be limited in time, it cannot be limited in space also. So, space and time is can be seen. Space and time are seen together here. In science also, you say space and time, space-time continuum. So, Atma is beyond that. If it is beyond that, in space also space cannot limit Atma. What does it mean? It is available everywhere. That's what it means. If space cannot limit it, that means the Atma Tattva is available everywhere. If it is available everywhere, therefore Nityaha and Sarvagata. Sarvagata means what? It is available everywhere. It is available everywhere. It is all pervasive. That is the idea of it is omnipresent, Sarvagataha. And if it is everywhere, what does that mean further? If it is everywhere, then it does not need to move to reach anywhere. That is the idea. So, if you see in sequence also, Nityaha and Nityatvat Sarvagataha. So, Nityatvat, Nitya becomes the Karana for Sarvagataha there. And Sarvagatatvam, because Atma is available everywhere, it does not need to go anywhere. It does not need to move. So, just looking at the need, whether it can or not is a different story. If a person says that I want to go from point 1 to point 2, then that person has to move. Anything which has to be at another place, then from point 1 to point 2, that thing has to move. But if it does not need to move, Atma being Sarvagata, Sarvagatatvat, it does not need to move, and what need not move is like Sthanu. Sthanuvat Sthiraha. Sthanu means it is like a stump. Like a stump means what? It is immovable. Like a stump, not a stump, but it is like a stump, immovable. And that is clarified here by saying Achalaha. Achala, it need not move. Sthanu, Sthanuvat Sthanu. Sthanuhu iva Sthanu. It need not move and it cannot move. Achalaha. It is need not move, it cannot move. Achalaha. What is this? Ayam Atma. And what is this Atma now further? It is Sanatana. In Dharma also we say Hindu Dharma. Hindu is a name given by invaders. But the Dharma is what? Sanatana. Sanatana means it has been ever existent. Nitya has that connotation. But Sanatana makes it clear that it is not created. It is not a Karana, it is not a Karya. Sanatana says it is not a Karya. And it is not a Karya. Elsewhere it will also be said that Atma is not a Karana also for anything. So Nityaha Sarvagataha Sthanuhu Achalaha Ayam Atma Sanatana. I am not making an Anvaya here. It is very clear. Everything is in Prathama Vibhakti. You can just add Bhavati or Asti. So that is the 24th shloka. Kincha. Whenever Bhashyakara says Kincha, and he says it at many places, what does it mean? It means the topic that he is discussing, or the topic which is there in the shloka, that is continuing. The same context continues, the same topic continues. That is the meaning of Kincha. And Kincha put together you can understand as moreover. Moreover or furthermore. That is the idea here, Kincha. And moreover, or we say and further, furthermore. That is the idea of Kincha. What is that? 25th shloka says, Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanu sochitum arhasi. So arhasi. Sochitum na arhasi. Na anusochitum arhasi. That is the main sentence here. The verb is arhasi. Arhasi is madhyama purusha ekvachana. So you ought to. Na arhasi means what? You ought not. You ought not. So tvam na arhasi. You ought not to do what? You ought not anusochitum na arhasi. So tvam anusochitum na arhasi. So this is not here, sorry, here. So this is Dvitiya Vibhakti Ekvachana, karma for arhasi. You ought not to do what? To grieve. You should not grieve. Anu is what? To following something, following an erroneous thinking that I will be killing these or I'll be hurting them. This is the idea that Arjuna has. So you should not grieve. That is the idea that is being conveyed here. And tasmat is being said. Therefore, evam viditva. Tasmat evam viditva. Tasmat, therefore what? Therefore meaning whatever reason is being given here. Avyaktaha, ayam atma, avyaktaha bhavati. Avyaktaha means it is unmanifest. And achintyaha. So you cannot see. What you see is vyaktaha. What is vyaktaha? What is manifest you can objectify through your sense organs. What is manifest? Manifest is this body mind sense complex. So others' body you see. You infer sense organs. Sense organs you cannot see. Your sense organs you can cognize. You can understand that I am seeing right now, therefore you can cognize. Thereby you can infer sense organs for others, but you cannot objectify directly. Pratyaksha it is not. What is pratyaksha? Sharira. That too, stula sharira. The gross body that he is seeing in as Bhishma, that is just the gross body. Atma he is not able to see. That is avyaktaha. Sukshma sharira he is not able to see, but he can infer that they have sukshma sharira. But they have the sharira, they have stula sharira, they have sukshma sharira. They are not the sharira. Therefore, Atma is avyaktaha, unmanifest, which he cannot see. Ayam Atma avyaktaha. And what is avyaktaha is beyond the five sense organs. If it is beyond the five sense organs, then on what basis will you think about it? You cannot think about something which is unmanifest. You cannot have a basis of something objectified and then say that this is objectified, this Atma is objectified now and I can think on that. But this Atma cannot be objectified through any of the sense organs. If it cannot be objectified, it is avyakta, then how can it be chintya? Chintya means chintana yogya. Kritya pratyaya is there. Chintana yogya chintya. Na chintya achintya. Meaning what? Chintana yogya nasti. Avyaktaha na vyaktaha avyakta. Nanj tatpurusha. And achintya is also nanj tatpurusha. Na chintana yogya nasti. Na chintya. So avyaktaha becomes the reason for Atma to be achintya. Ayam Atma achintya bhavati. It is achintya. And the reasons have been given for it to be avikarya. It is avikarya and therefore uchyate. He says that ayam Atma avyaktaha, ayam Atma achintya and ayam Atma avikarya uchyate is said to be so. It is said to be changeless. It is said to be unmanifest. It is said to be unthinkable. It is whatever you think, whatever you can imagine, it is beyond that. You cannot limit Atma to thought because it is infinity. In mathematics also, how do you think of infinity? Infinity cannot be thought about. Infinity is beyond whatever you can imagine. it is beyond that. Imagine, let's say a number. Think about an infinite number. You cannot think of an infinite number. Whatever is the largest number you think, you can multiply it, you can make it that raised to something, and in calculator you will get exponential. You can do that, but you cannot reach infinity. Whatever you can think of, whatever mathematical higher number formulas you can make, it is still beyond that. So it is achintya, meaning that infinity cannot be limited. Even by thought, it is beyond that. Avikaryaha ayam uchyate, and therefore all of these, the Atma is said to be. Tasmat, and therefore he says, since Atma is avyaktaha, and these will be explained further. Just because it is unmanifest, I should not grieve. What does, I mean, it may not make sense right away as to just because it is unmanifest, I should not grieve makes no sense to me. So what is this tasmat? Can't hear? Okay. Are others able to hear me? Okay, are others able to hear me? Yeah, okay. So I'll continue. Okay, so maybe some problem at Anand's end. Okay, so therefore what? Tasmad evam viditva. Evam viditva means having known in this manner. Viditva is tva pratyanta, vidhatu tva pratyaya. Evam viditva. Enam viditva, having known what? Enam atmanam. This atma, so this is a karma. Enam atmanam is a karma to viditva. Evam, in this manner. Adverbial to vidhatu here in viditva. So tvam anisochitum na arhasi. Why? Because, since, so yataha, you can, for understanding you can supply yasmat here. Yasmat ayam, this atma, ayam atma, avyaktaha, ayam, again atma, ayam atma, achintyaha, ayam. See, this will not connect well. Ayam avikaryaha uchyate. So yasmat may not connect here well. So I'll take away yasmat. This will be explained further. All the reasonings given in the earlier few shlokas are connecting to yasmat. So therefore directly we may not be able to say ayam yasmat avyaktaha, yasmat achintyaha, yasmat avikaryaha. All may not be clear as reasons for tasmat. Avyaktaha will become clear as how it is a reasoning, but avikaryaha can become a reasoning here. We can say that you may not be able to think about it. You may not be able to notice that is avyaktaha, and you are grieving for vyaktaha. Thereby, avikari atma is the reason. Atma is avikari. Therefore, knowing this as avikari, at least that much we can take here right away, and others may be explained further, will be explained further by Bhagavan Krishna himself. But we can at least understand that since Atma is avikari, cannot be hurt, it cannot be killed, therefore your crying, Arjuna's crying for his acharyas and his pitamaha, all his family members is actually useless. It is meaningless because he is crying for something which is avikari. Further, this will be analyzed in the upcoming shlokas. So tasmat evam viditva. Evam is in all the ways that Bhagavan has explained in the earlier shlokas. Evam enam atmanam viditva. Tasmat evam viditva. Evam viditva. Evam atmanam evam viditva. Enam is the same. Enam atmanam. This is also ayam atma, this same word. So usually, I mean, I'll just tell you, I use square brackets to something which I supply, the word which I supply, which has no, which is added to make the Anvaya clear, these round brackets I add for making what this pada is, making the pada clear. So ayam is equal to Atma. When it is equal to kind of a relation, I use these brackets. I mean, it's something that I use. You may have your own way. So when I supply something which has no connection with the earlier word, it is not the meaning of the earlier word. That time I, being an additional word, I put square brackets. So ayam is ayam atma avyaktaha ityadi tasmat enam atmanam evam viditva. In this manner, as in evam, in all the ways that the earlier shlokas have described this atma, evam viditva, tvam. See, tvam is supplied, so you can put this in square root, tvam, but it goes with arhasi. Arhasi cannot be anything else but tvam. So tvam anusochitum na arhasi, evam viditva anusochitum na arhasi. This is how the Anvaya would be. So that's the 25th shloka. Atmanaha anityatvam abhyupagamya. Atmanaha anityatvam abhyupagamya. Abhyupagamya is Lyabanta. Idam uchyate. This is being said. What is said? This following is being said. Karmani prayoga. Idam uchyate. The following is being said. Doing what? Having done what? Abhyupagamya. Abhyupagamya is having taken as a hypothesis. It's what is called as Abhyupagamavada. Abhyupagamavada is, even Bhashyakara uses it at many times when he finds an argumentative Purva Pakshi who keeps on saying, no, this is how it is, this is how it is. So he says, okay, let's take your Paksha as hypothesis. Let's suppose it is true. Then there are two ways to analyze it. One, to show a fault in that analysis, or whatever you have concluded based on that, the fault in the conclusion. So here the second latter way is used, where the hypothesis, it is supposed that Atma is Anitya. He's already explained that Atma is Nitya. Now he's saying that even if you think Atma is Anitya, let's take that as, let's assume it to be true as hypothesis. Even then, what he is not going to show that Atma, even taking that view, he is not going to do a reverse analysis and say Atma is Nitya. What is he going to do instead is that, taking that hypothetically true, as in taking it as a hypothesis, your conclusion is wrong, he is saying. As in, there is no need to grieve. What are you doing? You are grieving. So one Paksha is what? Atma is Nitya. Another Paksha is Atma is Anitya. Krishna is saying, I have explained to you that Atma is Nitya. If you agree Atma is Nitya, as in agree as in if you understand that Atma is Nitya, then what? Tasmad enam atmanam evam nityam viditva. So here we can say evam nityam viditva. Evam is, I'll just put it here, nityam viditva, so that we have a better understanding of the next shloka and Bhashyakara Sangati. Sorry, too many typos. Nityam viditva. Evam Atmanam evam nityam viditva. Having known this Atma as Nitya, you need not grieve for it. There is no reason, because it is Nitya. Why should you grieve for something which is Nitya? It is never going to die. If Atma is never going to die, then why are you crying for Atma? You should not be crying for Atma, because that is what you are doing when you cry for Bhishma, when you cry for Bhishmacharya or Dronacharya ityadi. You are crying for Atma, which is Nitya. Now he is saying second Paksha, let's take as a hypothesis that you are thinking which Atma is Anitya. Is that the reason you are crying? Then he is showing the flaw in that as well. So Atmanaha Anityatvam Abhyupagamya. Having accepted or having assumed, having taken as a hypothesis, What is that? Atmanaha Anityatvam. Having taken or having supposed Anityatvam. So let's say taken as a hypothesis, Anvaya will in English will not read well. So having supposed Anityatvam, Atma as Anitya. So having supposed Atma as Anitya, idam uchyate. This following shloka is with that in mind. Otherwise, you will see lot of difference between the two shlokas. Bhashyakara gives a very nice sangati to make it clear that earlier paksha was taken here as Atma is Nitya, which is the truth, and now it is taken as a hypothesis or seeing from Arjuna's perspective that what is he thinking? He is thinking Atma is Anitya. Then he says, Atha chainam nityajatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapitam mahabaho naivam sochitum arhasi. This is Atha. On the other hand, so Atha, on the other hand, cha, and on the other hand, enam atmanam, this Atma as what? Nityajatam. Nityajatam what? Means what? Nitya is continuously born. If you consider Atma as continuously born, meaning what? You are thinking it is Anitya. Anitya means what? Continuously, it is going to be born, it is going to die. It is going to be born, it is going to, like Sharira. Sharira is born and it is going to die. And you think that Atma is Sharira, limited to Sharira. So Atma is Anitya, it is going to die, it will be born again. So Nitya Jatam, that it is born. Every time you see somebody, you see that this person is born and then that person is going to die. Nityam va manyase mritam, and you think that Nityam here is continuously, and continuously you think that manyase, you consider as what? Mritam is going to die. So you consider this Atma as being born and dying continuously. After one janma after janma, it is being born and it is dying. Let's take that paksha to be true as a hypothesis. Tathapi, even then what? Tathapi, even then, tathapi, he mahabaho, tvam, sambodhana, mahabaho. So one who has, is basically mighty arm, means what? One who has mighty arms. That person, Bahuri, one who has mighty arms, so mighty armed prince or whatever. Tathapi tum he mahabaho na evam sochitum arhasi. In this manner, there is no logic for you to cry or grieve. So, na arhasi, kim kartum na arhasi, sochitum na arhasi, to grieve. How? In this manner, the way you are thinking in that manner, na sochitum arhasi, you ought not grieve for them. Why? That is going to be explained further. So, athacha enam nityajatam nityam va manyase. So, evam manyase. Sorry, not evam. Atha, and on the other hand, athacha and enam atmanam nityajatam manyase. So objective complement, nityajatam nityam va mritam or nityam mritam va. So we'll say, so what are the two things here? Nityajatam nityam mritam va manyase. If you consider, still what? Tathapi. So I'll just add here, you can add this anywhere. He mahabaho tathapi. He mahabaho tvam evam sochitum na arhasi. You need not cry for this. Why? Still being explained, because here also need not be explained. What is the idea? If you think that the body is going to die and that body is Atma, or Atma itself dies with the body, let's say, but this body, whatever is dying, will be born again. Then why are you crying? Because although you consider that Atma is not Nitya, still it is going to die and come back, because you think that it is continuously being born and dead like Sharira. Then the Sharira is going to be born again. It is a Sharira is put together. It is put together. It is going to get broken down into its components, its karana, and then it is going to come together as another effect. So even if you think Atma is going to be dispersed into its karana and then again it is going to be born, then why are you still crying for them? Need not be grieving for that also, because that kind of a anitya Atma which is continuously dying and being born, it will be born again. So taking that paksha also, your grief is invalid, it is meaningless. Tathacha sati, and that being so, what will happen? Why? Reasoning is given. Tvam evam sochitum na harasi. Why? The reason given is what? Tathacha sati. If that being so, sati, tathacha sati is being so, and that being so, so is tatha is so, and that being so, being is sati. That being so, what? Jatasya hi dhruva mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam sochitum arhasi. He is explaining why should you not be grieving, because jatasya is that which is born, of that which is born, because jatasya dhruvaha mrityuhu, whatever is born, that mrityuhu is certain. Dhruvam, dhruvaha mrityuhu, jatasya is of that which is born. Jatasya hi mrityuhu dhruvaha. Dhruva is firm, really, the one of the meanings, but here what does it mean? Is certain. Whatever is born, that will die. That will, there is absolutely no way that something which is born will not die. So if you think you are grieving for death of something which is born, don't worry. Why? Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. This is the reason. Why? Because janma, mritasya janma, this is neuter, cha. And what is the reason? Jatasya hi mrityu dhruvaha. You think that what is born will definitely die. If it is definite, then why do you cry? But if you cry because it is going to die, whatever is born, Bhishmacharya is born, he is going to die and I am going to kill him. If this is the thinking, don't worry. Why? Because mritasya janma dhruvam cha. Mritasya janma dhruvam. Certain, it is certain that dhruvam cha, it is certain that whatever is dead is going to be born again. So you are crying for Bhishmacharya not being there, but he will be born again. Therefore, there is no need to cry, he is going to be born. Tasmad, therefore, tasmad, and this is the reasoning. Therefore, apariharyarthe. There is no parihara to this. You cannot stop something which is born from dying and something which is dead from being born again. Whatever goes away will come back, whatever has come will go. This is cyclical and there is absolutely no way, you have no control. See, even by crying or grieving for it, what are you going to get? Finally you are going to get dukkha. Is it going to change any bit to the circumstantial thing which is going to happen? If you can stop something, you can try and you can stop. Something which you cannot try, which is meant to be in that manner. Somebody who is born, something which has come about to be, you have bought something, you bought the best of the cars, you can maintain it. But beyond that you cannot do anything, because it is going to wither away in time. Everything is going to get ruined. Your house will get cracks just like this body, and the house will also, even if it, let's say, even the oldest of the trees, let's say some trees are there for thousands of years, but after several thousand years also they are going to dry away and they are going to come apart. So anything that is born, jatasya hi mrityu dhruva bhavati, and mritasya janma dhruvam bhavati. Therefore, tasmat apariharyate. You cannot, you have no control over this. Na pariharya, nanj tatpurusha na parihara tasmin aparihare arthe. Unto such objects or unto such things which are beyond your control, aparihare arthe vishay saptami. Regarding these things which are apariharya, there is no solution to it. You cannot do anything about it. Natvam sochitum arhasi. You need not grieve for them, or it is improper to grieve for such things. Therefore, Bhagavan has shown that in both cases, whether Atma is Nitya or Anitya, your shoka is completely invalid, it is meaningless. Sujatasya hi mrityu dhruva bhavati and mrutasya janma dhruvam cha bhavati, or mrutasya cha janma, you can say mrutasya cha janma dhruvam bhavati tasmad apariharye arthe tvam. Regarding such matters which are beyond your control, tvam anusochitum na arhasi. So that's the 27th shloka. Karyakarana sanghata atmaka. So karyakarana sanghata atmaka. Here this kap pratyaya you can see, it is a bahuri. Karyakarana sanghatatmakani api bhutani. So kani api, neuter, plural. Therefore bhutani, it goes with bhutani. So he says what? Karyakarana sanghatatmakani api bhutani. Bhutani, those beings, even those beings. What kind of beings? Karyakarana sanghata. Sanghata is an assemblage. So karyakarana sanghata atmakani means karya karana sanghataha atma yasya bhutasya or yesham bhutanam karyakarana sanghata atmanah atmano atmanah. So atmanah bhavanti. So karyakarana sanghatani atmanah yesham bhutanam tani bhutani karyakarana sanghatatmakani. So karyakarana sanghatatmakani api bhutani uddishya, having considered, uddishya, or having that in mind. What in mind? Having those bhutas, beings which are what? Which are put together. Sanghata means body, mind, sense. Karya is body and karana is the sense organ. So therefore the body mind sense complex, or body mind complex, or body mind sense complex. Karana will include both antakarana as well as the bahya karana. Therefore karana can mean mind as well as senses. So karana will say as mind, or will say as mind and sense complex. Karya is sharira. So body mind sense complex is sanghata, assemblage, that which is put together, and that is the nature, that is the reality of Atma. Here is that reality of the sharira, bhuta, the beings who are what? Who are put together. Even considering that beings are put together, uddishya, shokaha na yukta kartum. Even if you consider, so the second paksha which was taken as hypothesis is further taken into account and further elaborated as karyakarana sanghatatmakani api bhutani uddishya. Even having considered that the beings are of the nature of body mind sense complex, even considering that shokaha na yukta kartum. What is kartum na yukta? What is not proper to do? Yukta means proper, and na yukta means not proper. What is improper to do? What is not proper to be done? Shokaha kartum na yuktaha. Shoka is for kartum, to do what? To do shokaha. Shokaha kartum na yuktaha. Yataha. Why? So what? It is improper to grieve, even if you consider that all beings are, everyone is of the nature of body mind sense complex, meaning they are body mind sense complexes which are put together. Even if you consider that they are just body mind sense complexes, still it is not proper for you to grieve. Why? Yataha. Yatha is yasmat. Panchami Yate tasil. Yataha. Because what? 28 shloka says, Avyaktadini bhutani, Vyaktamadhyani bharata, Avyakta nidhananyeva, tatra ka paridevana. So he says, Shokaha kartum na yuktaha. Shoka means what? Paridevana. Paridevana is another main word to give the sense of shoka itself. Sorrow. Tatra ka paridevana. What is the sorrow there? What is the matter to grieve about there? Where he says Avyaktadini bhutani. He is explaining this. When jatasya hi dhruvaha mrityuhu mrutasya cha janma dhruvam bhavati. What is the corollary of that? What is the meaning? Avyaktadini bhutani. And this is the word that he has used earlier also. Avyakta. That's what I said. He'll explain this one. Avyakta ayam atma avyakta, he said. Now even if you think that the body mind sense complex, here avyakta is used for atma. But what is he saying now? Even if you think that the body mind sense complex is what atma really is, it is anitya, but you know that this, like sharira, it is anitya. Sharira is going to be born and it is going to be subject to death again and again continuously. Then you think that jivatma is also like that, being born again and again and dying again and again. What is the meaning there? The meaning is that bhutani, which are karyakarana sanghata, hypothetically, suppose these beings are body mind sense complexes, atma is like that, and you think that they are subject to birth and death. What is actually happening? They are not going to be destroyed. Even the body mind sense complex is not destroyed. Kimuta atma. How can atma be destroyed? So here avyaktadini bhutani. These bhutas are what? Avyakta adi. Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata. Adi. In the beginning they are avyakta. The bhutas are avyakta in the beginning, and vyakta madhyani, in between they are. He Bharata, Bharata vanshe jataha. Bharata is a tadhita. It is sambodhana here. He says, He Bharata, what are these bhutani? These beings that you are grieving for, they are avyakta, avyaktadi. They are avyaktadi. Avyaktadi, and in plural it will become avyaktadini. And avyaktadini is avyaktaha adihi yeshamte. Or in the beginning, adav avyakta, not yeshamte. These will be, I think it will be like karmadharya only here. Adav avyakta, here it will mean adav avyakta, which are in the beginning, they are avyakta. These bhutas are avyakta in the beginning. So avyaktadini bhutani and vyakta madhyani. Actually it will be bahuri, avyaktaha adi yeshamte is fine. Whose beginning is unmanifest. Whose beginning is unmanifest. So that's how the meaning would be. What is the understanding here? Their beginning is avyakta means what? In the beginning they are unmanifest. So during creation, what happens is that these all these bodies which are born, whether at the creation and the beginning, or when you consider a person is born, before being born you think that this person is a body mind sense complex. Did this body mind sense complex come out of nothing? It came of the parents' bodies. Parents' bodies have come together as the child. So there is an ansha which is born. So that what happened to that ansha? That ansha, this body mind sense complex which is seen as a child when the child is born, before that what was it? It was avyakta, it was unmanifest. So it has not come from nothing. It has not come from shunya. The body mind sense complex was present in another form earlier which was not visible to the onlooker. Therefore they are avyakta. So even if you consider Atma is vyakta now when the person is born, Then before that, in the beginning, what it was? Avyakta. So in the beginning it was avyakta and vyakta madhyani. From the period of a person's birth till the person's death, that you consider is atma, the person is born and is dying, is going to be dead. In that period, what was it? Madhya kala. So vyaktaha madhya. So in the middle time period, again Bhauri, vyakta madhyani bhutani. So those bhutas are what? Who are manifest in the middle. And then what will happen? Avyakta nidhanan. In the end, nidhana is death. At the end or at the death, what will happen? Avyakta again, it will become unmanifest. They are not going to be destroyed. So when a person says, even when creation and destruction of something or the world is mentioned, even at that larger scale of universe, the universe is created and destroyed. They are not really created and destroyed. Just like this person and the universe is also what? It is manifest and unmanifest. In the middle it is manifest. In the beginning it was unmanifest, and in the end also it will become unmanifest. Therefore, He Bharata, Bhutani, Avyaktadini, and what? Vyakta, Madhyani, Avyakta, Nidhanani, Eva Bhavanti. Tatra means what? Tasmin Vishaye. Tatra, Tasmin Vishaye. Ka paridevana. Regarding this matter, ka paridevana means what? It is a rhetoric here. Ka paridevana, it's a question. Paridevana nasti. Na kartum arhasi. So it is, the idea is that you should shoka na kartum yuktaha. So shoka kartum na yuktaha, that is the idea here. Why? Because it is going to be born. It is not, the body is not going to be destroyed. So when you say mrityuhu and janma is dhruva, mrityu is dhruva, you are crying for mrityu is dhruva. Even if I tell you that the person is, see what is the idea, even if you say that the person is going to born, the same person I may not see. So he's saying the idea is what, when mrityu happens, the person is dead. That is not the idea here. They are avyakta, they are just unmanifest, and the same jiva is going to be manifest in another form. That's all. The form is manifest and unmanifest continuously. The Atma, even if you think it is manifest, unmanifest, there is no need to grieve because it does not die. The idea is that you are not going to kill the Atma. It is going to become unmanifest. Even if you think Atma is unmanifest, it is still okay because it is going to be manifest again. So this is the hypothesis to tell him that in both pakshas you need not grieve for. That's why in the beginning of the teaching, in the second chapter, the 10th shloka, there he had said that you are talking like a pandita, but you are not a pandita, because panditaha na anusochanti, but you are grieving. So he is telling, why don't panditas grieve? Because they know this, that bhutani avyaktadini vyaktamadhyani avyakta nidhanani, and not only do they know this, but they also know that it is not the Atma, because Atma is ever unmanifest, and Atma does not undergo any change, avikari, and it is avyakta, it is nitya. This is the idea that panditas already know. You do not know, and that's why I am telling you that I am explaining in both ways, just so that you can get over your grief and then move further on and inquire into what is this Atma which can become moksha karaka. So not only will this serve you the immediate purpose of crossing over current grief, but it will also help you cross over the grief forever if you inquire further. This is the idea. Durvijnyaha ayam prakrita atma किम त्वाम एव एकम उपालभे साधारणे भ्रांति निमित्ते कथम दुर्विज्ञः अयम आत्मा इत्यतः आह. So Bhashyakara gives this sangati to say what? Durvijñah ayam atma durvijñah. Durvijñah means what? Ayam prakrita atma. This prakrita atma is this atma in this context. In the context, the atma is not really anitya. Atma is nitya. So this nitya atma is difficult to know. Durvidnya means what? Jnaya means that which can be known. Vijnaya means that which can be known Visheshena Jnaya. Visheshena Jnaya means what? Completely. How it has to be known in that manner. And Du means Dukkhena. Dukkhena Vijnaya ayam aprakrita atma. Dukkhena means what? With lot of difficulty. Dukkha does not mean sorrow. Dukkha here means it is difficult. So Dukkhena Vijnaya ayam atma. Dukkhena Vijnaya means it is difficult to know this Atma. Ayam prakrita Atma Durvijnaya bhavati. It is very difficult to understand this Atma. Swarupena Durvijnaya. Swarupena means in its nature. What exactly is its nature has to be inquired into. Through Shravana Manana Nididhyasana alone it can be known. Through Shruti, Guru Vakya alone it can be known. Otherwise it is very difficult to understand. Even while studying for several years also, it is Durvijnaya that is being said. Therefore what? Kim Tvam eva ekam upalabhe. Upalabhe means why should I blame? Why should I take you aside and say that you do not understand? Upalabhe means what? I, Krishna, you see this is Bhashyakara looking into what Krishna is thinking. Why does he give this? Suddenly he is saying Ashcharyavat Pashyati Kaschidenam. Where is the connection of Avyaktadini Bhutani Vyaktamadhyani Bharata and then Ashcharyavat Pashyati? So he says, what is Bhagavan thinking? Bhagavan has smiled. So Prahasanniva Bharata. Earlier it was said Prahasanniva means he is saying, I mean, look at your condition. You are grieving for something which should not be grieved for. So he is kind of laughing at the circumstance. You yourself chose to fight and now you have been overcome by grief. What is this moha? What is this modatvam? With this he has as though smiling, he has started addressing Arjuna. And now he is thinking, why should I set you aside and say that you are the one who is grieving and how foolish it would be? Why should I think so? Because it is true for everyone. He says, Durvijnayam prakrutatma sarvesham. Sarvesham api durvijnaya bhavati. Arjunasya eva na. Not only for Arjuna, but for everyone this Atma is difficult to know, and he is showing it. Kim Tvam eva ekam. Tvam eva, why should I set you alone? Ekam eva upalabhe. This sadharane bhranti nimitte. Upalabhe sadharane bhranti nimitte. This kind of a generally so. Sadharane. Bhranti nimitta. Bhranti nimitta is bhranti nimitta. Nimitta yeshamte. Or yasya bhranti nimitte. This Atma, when there is avidya, this Atma itself is seen as in different ways. It is misunderstood because there is a confusion of Atma and Anatma, and Atma taken as Anatma, Anatma taken as Atma becomes the nimitta for bhranti. So bhranti nimitte sadharane. Sadharane bhranti means generally that which is the cause for bhranti, meaning the cause for delusion. There everyone becomes deluded. You are not a special one who is deluded and I am not setting you aside. Why should I set you aside? This is the thinking of Krishna, and he says that Katham Durvijnayam Atma Ityataha. Why is this Atma very difficult to know for everyone, not you alone? Therefore he says that Ascharyavat Pashyati Kaschidenam Ascharyavat Vadati Tathaiva Chanyaha Ascharyavat Chainam Anyashrunoti Shrutvapyenam Vedana Chaiva Kaschit. I'll just explain the basic meaning. We'll see in the next patha. He says that Ascharyavat Pashyati. What is vating here? Vating meaning what? Ascharyavat means like an Ascharya, like a wonder. One sees Kaschid. Kaschid enam atmanam. I'll just do padacheda here. Ascharyavat Pashyati Kaschid. Kaschid. Whosoever. Whosoever enam atmanam Ascharyavat Pashyati. He understands a little or completely, and then he says, my God, this Atma is such a wonder. This Atma is such a wonder. And someone, so here Pashyati is you can take as Shishya who can see the Tattva now. Guru also sees it and then Shishya also sees it. So whosoever sees this Atma, sees means what? Not objectifying. Sees means sees clearly, he understands clearly. So if you see a particular point clearly, we say we see the point. Although the point cannot be seen. you understand the idea. So do you see the idea? Do you look at the idea? We say that look at this idea. So when you say look at this idea, you are not actually projecting an idea. It is cognized by the mind. Therefore, pashyati here is understanding or cognized by the mind. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Through buddhi, one understands it, and once the shishya understands it, he says this something which cannot be expressed in words has been expressed in the words by Shruti and Guru, and the shishya has also understood. Therefore, it is a wonder. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva cha anya. Tatha eva. The Guru also is teaching something which cannot be taught because it cannot be objectified. It is beyond words. How can the Shruti and Guru teach about something which is beyond the words? The tools that are available are words, etc. And the person who is hearing is also using his ears, and Atma cannot be heard. Atma cannot be talked about, as in Atma cannot be objectified by a word or cannot be the meaning of the word directly, and one cannot hear Atma. Then how is it that the communication has taken place? Somehow it has taken place. Through a lot of effort, Shruti has explained in various ways. Through Prakarana Granthas, Acharyas have explained. Through Smritis, they are been explained. Through Puranas, it has been explained. Whatever way one gets it, it is a wonder. That which cannot be explained has been explained by the Acharya and Shruti. That which cannot be understood directly has been understood by the Shishya. Therefore, a wonder. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschit enam atmanam. Ascharyavat vadati tatha eva cha anyaha guru acharya va tatha eva ascharyavat vadati. As a like a wonder. And ascharyavat cha enam anyaha shrunoti. And someone else also, this person goes and talks about it, other also listens to it with as a wonder. It's a wonder. And enam shrutva api. So ascharyavat enam anyaha shrunoti. One listens to it as a wonder but does not understand. Shrutva api enam atmanam veda nacha eva kaschit. Someone, even while listening to the same patha, one has understood, another has not understood, another has understood in another way, misunderstood. All these possibilities are there. Everything is this about this Atma is a wonder, and since this wonder can be understood with a great difficulty in the right way, or it can be misunderstood. Therefore, what? Durvidnyaha, and that is the answer to this question that Bhashyakara introduces. Katham Durvidnyaha ayam Atma. Katham Durvidnya, how is it difficult to understand? Ityataha. We'll see more into this. I'll talk a little more about this in the next part. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Any questions?